As I've told you, our next stop is France, where Julian Boyreau will now take a closer look at the GAFAs to answer one question once and for all. Does it make sense to compete the GAFAs? So, welcome, Julian.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah,
we can hear you very well, and we are very excited about the things that you will tell us right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. And it has been a pleasure to be here. As some of you may know, I've been working for 6 years in TF1. And now, as an independent person, it's even better for me to share my knowledge, and especially on the topic of today, that is how to work with a GAFA. So if you can please go to the slides, because we can go straight to the point. It was very interesting for me when Thomas proposed this topic, because it has been one of my main area of work for the last 5 years, is to understand why the GAFA is working. Why the GAFA are able to grow 30 to 40% every year since 15 years. Why they have millions of customers when TV is stuck with thousands of customers forever. And the more and more I was thinking about it, I was searching for the deep reasons why they were so bigger than TV and typical media. They may have played another game, and especially when I work on that, I found at the deepest level of their domination a specific man. And so, if you have only one thing to remember from our presentation today, is a photograph of this guy you can see on the screen. He's probably to economics what Einstein was to physics and Darwin was to biology. His name is William Vickrey. He won a Nobel Prize in '96. Actually, he died from a heart attack three days before getting the Nobel Prize. And basically, what this guy did is rediscovering a bidding game that was played by stamp collectors in late 19th century England, and model the game with modern names, and prove that this game actually was quite impressive to change completely the economics of buying some stuff. And so with the simple 4 rules that you can see on the screen, that is, each buyer will bid only once. Each bid for every buyer will be secret. The best bidder will get the good, but the price will be the second one. What he proved as a mathematician, he was a mathematician, what he proved is that the best strategy in this game, basically, is to be truthful. It's just to reveal the truth of yourself, to know the expected value, the value you expect for the bid, from the good you want to get. You don't need to care about the others. You just need to know yourself. And if you know yourself, you will gain at a maximum, independently of the others. So it was completely transformative for economics, meaning that you didn't need to look at the competition. You may not win, but if you know your value, you will never lose. So you completely get the risk out of the system. So if you go to the next slide, basically, when you look at the history of Google, actually it was actually the beginning of Google, and all the story of Google is to enrich this very basic factor in a model that I call the star model, in a game of words, because actually with it you can become a star of advertising. Based on this Vickrey game, the fact that if you know the game, if you know the rules of the game, you may not win, but you cannot lose. Basically, Google applied this game to add other factors to make the ergonomics of the game applicable to advertising. So if you go to the next slide, the first building block was what I call hard context. Basically, we talk a lot in the advertising about data, but actually Google, like any other big players, any other user of the star model, is basically about context. And in the case of Google, intention comes before impression. When you type some words in the search of Google, you know already what you want. And so the context is very hot. And so it was very easy to apply the VEBA model to get good performance natively for the advertiser playing the VEBA no-risk game. If you go to the next slide, you see the other key factor of the success of the star model is that you have explicit click. Basically, advertising is always about clicking. When you see an ad, you want to click in your mind to think about it and afterwards to try to buy the product. But with Google and with digital, the click is made explicit. And if you have these explicit clicks, you can have attribution that is fine in the sense that you can do attribution impression per impression. It is very easy to understand. And today you have 10 million of businesses using Google that understand very well that if you see an ad and I click on it, there is a value that is created to buy afterwards the product, and it is immediate. You get the information on the click, and so it's playful afterwards to do the optimization. If you go to the next slide, you see another very important point is the virtuous cycle that is created on the model. What Google, the core asset of Google was obviously machine learning and the famous quality score. That is, you don't, like in OpenRTB, you don't let the players just bidding on CPMs with them not knowing really the value, the real expected value of showing an impression in terms of sales. You don't let them cheat on the game, but you have a quality score. So the seller, Google, is predicting the click-through rate for the advertiser, and so you can maintain a very good alignment between consumers and producers. Basically, the product that is shown is the best for Google, is the best for the advertisers because it has the best expected value, and it is the best for the consumers because it is one of the best click-through rate you can find through the engine. And the last one, but very important, if you go to the next slide, it's the organic presence. By definition, for a website, you are on Google, you are indexed on Google, you are present, and advertising is just an amplification. It's just something that you do on top of your organic presence within the media. From the user point of view, it is more or less integrated into the experience. It's normal to see websites on a search page, on a search result page, and so it's very organic in terms of presence. And so here you have the star model. You have the 5 main reasons why Google is Google, based on the first factor that was this incredible mathematical and scientific discovery of William Vickrey, the no-risk game. If you go to the next slide, once you have the star model, basically, you can just say, okay, why Facebook became so powerful? Basically, they did just one thing. They just applied the star model, and actually they applied the star model by hiring the previous CEO of Google, that is Sheryl Sandberg. Basically, she knew the model, and so she just imported the model. And the only difference between Google and Facebook was around context. Basically, on Google, it's very hard because you are searching for something. On Facebook, it's what I call neutral. Basically, it's very casual. You are just knocking out, spending time on posts. You don't care. It is a post of a children of your friends, or a post or a photo on Instagram for a fashion, casual game or casual stuff. You are on the mobile. You are just one click away from the App Store from Apple or Google, and so it's very easy. It's very neutral. Very hot, but it's neutral, so it can work. And basically, after that, you just apply all the other parts of the star model. You are organically present on the platform. You're creating as a business your Facebook page. The click is explicit. The virtual circle is here. It's called EdgeRank at Facebook. And you are playing the VQ game, so no risk game. So as an advertiser, you don't have anything to lose to win. You don't have anything to lose to play the game, and you will win up to the competitive market you are with your product. And so it works for Google. It works thus for Facebook. And if we go to the next slide, we will see it works exactly the same for Amazon. But actually, so Amazon in 5 years went from $0 to $10 billion just by applying the star model. With one big difference, obviously, that Google was on websites, native websites indexed by the engine. Facebook was on apps, natively integrated within the app ecosystem. Amazon went to the sellers on the marketplace, and so here the only difference still is the context. On Google it was hot, on Facebook it's neutral, on Amazon it's burning. It's burning. You are just buying stuff. The command is one click away from intention and from impression. Basically, we are calling it advertising, or maybe to use a chic words, retail media. But basically, it's more akin something that is worked for 50 years by retailers. It's called trade marketing. In the US, as you may know, the TV advertising is 70 billions, and trade marketing is 170 billions. And so Amazon actually is digitizing this big market of trade marketing, where the context is burning. If you go to the next slide, once you have this star model, all the three ones are trying to converge on the burning context. And so Google is developing Google Shopping, so integrating the shopping experience and going deeper in the funnel. And Facebook is working with Shopify, for example, to integrate the shopping experience within Facebook shops or Instagram. It's what I call content. That is, you're merging in one point of contact the discovery, the decision, and the command. And if you have the star model and the no-risk game, that is, the value of the advertising is directly indexed on the sales you provide, the value is just mechanically improving. If you go to the next slide, there is one thing that is actually very interesting in the star model, is that it is completely disruptive for the TV ecosystem, because there is one golden rule if you want to win in this game, is that you never negotiate. So in this very simple matrix, you can see, depending on fixed price and fixed volume, you can see the four possibilities. When you are a star and you are playing the star model, you have the three black ones where you can fix the volume or you can fix the price, but you never fix both. And basically fixing both, it's what we are doing in TV for 40 years. That is, we are negotiating with big customers, growth engagement for fixed price, lower and lower. And so this approach, negotiation, is actually impossible to scale. And so what is interesting in the end is that VQ basically, the VQ game and this model is really a disruption in the sense that it is advertising without negotiation. And when you do advertising without negotiation, and that the rules of the game of VQ are mathematically much more aligned for the market and are growing linearly, you are playing actually a game that is completely different. If you go to the next slide, the question was, if you compare to the typical media, the TV channel, the radio station, the tech journal, basically the picture is quite different. If you want to apply the star model, you may try, but if you look at the model, basically it's completely the opposite. It's a risky game, so you have to engage millions of euros with no results ensured. It's interruptive in terms of presence. Advertisers are not do not belong to the TV platform today. They are seen as interruption during your flow. The click is implicit, so a good TV advertising is clicking in your mind. It's the famous beta de Morgenstern, but it's slow, it's complex to measure, it's gross, it's campaign level, and so you cannot trade today, or you don't even try to trade on an explicit click. It's a dangerous cycle because basically you are selling big block of engagement locally. The price is the lower one, and so there is a very low alignment and concern about user interest regarding the advertising, and the context is cold. Basically, you want to generate intention with impression. The user is doing nothing at all with something completely different than purchasing products when leaning back on the TV couch with a device that is not done to buy stuff, and so it's very difficult to apply. If you go to the next slide, and if we try actually to apply the star model to TV, I will give you 3 tips that I will be very happy to share back with people if you want to contact me after the presentation. 3 tips. If we stick to the star model of the Google, Amazon, and Facebook stars, and we want to apply to TV, regarding context, if you go to the next slide, basically we could work on this problem of context with FMCG. I think typically FMCG, this is a category of products where just seeing a good ad for something that is not very costly is something that you don't need a very big intention to buy yogurts. You will not go to Danone.com to look at the yogurts. If you see the ad, it may trigger the will to buy the products. So I think that trying to apply the star model on FMCG could be a first level to make it work for TV. If you go to the next slide, next you have the problem of the explicit click. That is something that we tried to solve for many years on the market. How can you do an explicit click on a device, on an ergonomics that is not at all done to do active stuff when you are lean back on your TV? What you can do is what I call async click. It was an idea we developed and we imagined 3 years ago at TF1, where basically what you can do is just asking the user to click OK on the remote, to add the product somewhere, to add the product on another device, or receiving an SMS, receiving an email, etc., separating the click of the action afterwards to buy the product. If you can have this minimum viable engagement on TV, you are able afterwards to prove that it was this impression that provides the click, that provides the purchase, and so you can attribute the value with the same fineness and way to understand that the star model. And basically, the irony is that 5 years ago in the US, YouTube just introduced what they call brand extension. That is exactly that. Basically, you are on YouTube TV, you are watching YouTube on your TV set. There is an advertising. You're just clicking OK, and you will get back a URL or an SMS on the second screen to buy it afterwards. And if we go to the last element on the next slide, the last point that you could imagine is basically on FMCG, you have small products where the ad would be a possibility just to buy because you are just watching some ads on the TV. With async click, you just engage by just clicking for later on your TV. And if you reuse the idea of the list, that is very obvious on video on demand, when you do list, queue, call it when you want, as you want. But basically, you have this idea of list. And in FMCG, obviously, you have this idea of shopping list. Basically, you can imagine a model where on your video on demand, when you have your list of favorites, you may imagine having all the video of the FMCG products that can be promoted, having it on your VOD sites, like programs, like products. You can put it in the list, and basically you will have a destination that will allow all the products that I've seen on TV to click them and to put them on the shopping list, for further purchasing. If you go to the next slide, as you've seen with these elements, basically, technically, and I've been working on that for 5 years at TF1, technically, the star model is applicable to TV. And obviously, like Google, Facebook, and Amazon showed, basically, if you apply it, it will work exactly the same. You will have, and if you follow the golden rule, that is, you forget about negotiation, it will work, and you will do. You may have the chance to do the Amazon way and to grow your business as you have more products and more capability to make sales through TV. The problem is ecological in the sense of environment. It will be my last message. Is you have 4 big difficulties to overcome to go to the star model on TV. The first one is obviously with the sales house, is that basically what these people will do if you have no nego. So obviously it was easier for Google with small teams of negotiation for small sales team 15 years ago. It was easier for Facebook because they were starting up. It was easier for Amazon because they were starting up. When you are a TV sales house, it's quite difficult because you have already people doing sales, and so it's difficult to know what you will make them. And typically, one of the ideas you can imagine is if basically in the star model the media is more about a tool you use to make sales. Basically, potentially these guys, the sales house, you can reuse them also to help the customers as the clients to make more sales and to think them more as customers, as customer success manager, more than as pure negotiators, because in the star model you don't have any negotiations. Versus media agencies, where to fit the historical partners. It's very difficult. The star model is a completely different business. It is not about negotiating gross impressions. You want to make sales, very fine. You need to work with them. You need probably to leave the relationship to the client within the media agencies, and potentially to help the media agencies also to reconcile the creative aspects, the media aspect, and the consulting aspect of the original agencies, because at the end of the day, it is where the value will be for this kind of service providers, consulting and creation. Versus the publisher, how do you do when you go to a publisher and you want to say, okay, alongside all the video you have, you want to add Danone or L'Oreal or whatever as product videos on your site. Very difficult to stretch the mind of the publisher to accept, like it is the case on YouTube, for example, that basically on your platform, on demand, you can have videos of advertisers, because basically it allows you to have lists onto which you can add products through async click. And the last one, versus the distributors, you may know that in France, especially, distributors like telcos are very powerful. They are gaining and they are gripping the customer relationships. So they are between you, the broadcaster, and the users. It's not OTT. And so if you want to do the scenarios with async click and shopping list, you need to pair the TV and the on and offline. And so you need to work with them also to help you to provide this kind of scenario. That's all for me. I hope it was interesting for you. I really think that the star model and based on Vickrey game theory could be applied also to TV. And so if you are able to raise this barrier, it could be as it was the case for Google, as it was the case for Facebook, and as it was the case for Amazon, and as it is the case actually for any other platforms that are using this recipe. I think TV is now the time for TV to break the ceiling of the 1,000 usual customers with the more or less the same budgets that we have been for 30 years. And so I would be glad in the future to help anyone to bring this model to TV.
Right. Thank you very much, Julian. Wow, what huge content, but very, very interesting. And let me tell you that in the back, I could see them, Oliver and Thomas, were like putting their thumbs up, because I think they totally go with your content and all the stuff that you've told us right now. So let me ask you one question. So don't you think that traditional broadcasters can reinvent themselves with a rich content profile and a competitive streaming and Adtech advantage? So to be competitive?
Yeah. You know, it's really. I think for what I know, all the solutions that I know from the market, really, I think the technology of broadcasters are amazing. Basically, broadcasters when it comes to connected TV and to digital TV in general, in terms of technology, especially in Europe, I had the chance in my career to make a lot of firsts. I was the first to launch addressable TV on PCs. To launch beginning of this year, we launched at TF1 addressable TV on linear with the operators. So technically, we are quite good. What I tried to show with this presentation is it's really about the product and it's really about the model. And I hope that in the future, this kind of it's much more difficult for the broadcasters. Basically, the main problem of the broadcasters for me is less technical than, once again, ecological. That is really how do you do to let the star model and the performance-oriented model emerge when you have such a legacy, such an history of working on a model that is completely the opposite. You know, to give you a last example that I love a lot, as you may know, Kodak actually invented the digital photography, but actually they never proposed the digital photography because they were selling, their business model was to sell the pellicule, the stuff that you used within the camera to do the photographs. And so as the star model and all the success of Google and Facebook are based on doing advertising without negotiations, without dealing, without negotiations, how do you do to do this when your core business is negotiation? It's not easy. It may need some partners on some sister companies that are freer to try to do it separately. But it's for me and my experience, it has always been very interesting because I know it will work. Technically, there is no doubt. The problem is your legacy and how you do to make the two coexist.
All right, thank you very much, Julian Boyreau. Thank you very much for your presentation. So, bye-bye to France.